Thank you very much, Mike. So I guess it's now on your shoulders. When you're going to talk, I mean, your presentation is going to be about the situation in, I mean, what you promote in the Commonwealth, in the developing countries. I'm sure that you can step from what he says and what about setting up and promoting a new Bill of Rights in your community.
Thank you, Benedict. Good afternoon. It's at the end. Thank you. When we are discussing about how the panel should, what the panel should consider, we came to the conclusion that we should think about the paradigm shift within the cyberspace and how we as individuals and organizations and countries shape up in that paradigm and what our rights should be and what we should expect. A bit about ourselves. I come from the Commonwealth Telecommunications Organization. Commonwealth is an association of 53 member countries around the world. You can see the countries in yellow patches. You can see that Commonwealth is represented in almost every continent of the world. Out of these, 7 are low-income countries and 16 are lower middle-income countries. This becomes important as we go along. It's a home to 2.2 billion people, out of which 60% are below the age of 30. Now that is another important factor. What we do as Commonwealth Telecommunications Organization is to help Commonwealth countries leverage ICTs for development. In a nutshell, that's what we do. What I wanted to point out in this presentation is what are the conflicts. When we talk about cyberspace, we see many things. We see a great opportunity. On the other hand, some see dangers and threats. If you take it from 2 points of view, for the government, a cyberspace is a tool for development. That means it has to be safe and secure. Today there was a presentation from eBay about global trade facilitated by online relationships, but unfortunately, majority of the payment gateways do not work in developing countries. There was a recent report by UNCTAD which said that there are only about 23 countries where payment gateways are available. If even a regulator, ICT regulator in a developing country wants to buy books on Amazon, we do that for them because they can't order books online. That means a large number of countries are outside the mainstream of cyberspace. And for the government, the key challenge is how to engage with the mainstream cyberspace. That means giving the assurance that their cyberspace is safe and secure. So for them, safety and security are the prime importance. But on the other hand, the users, especially that 60% who are below the age of 30, they want to enjoy cyberspace. For them, it is a beautiful place. They want unfettered access. So this is, to us, the friction that has caused this conflicting demands. We spoke about the social contract, and social contract is that individuals give up a part of their rights for the assurance that they will be protected. And for society to work perfectly, the interests of both these stakeholder groups has to be aligned perfectly. It never happens. Now for us, in cyberspace, the very right that people are supposed to give up, the freedom of expression, the freedom to do whatever you like on the cyberspace is the very thing that they hold dear. So this is a problem we have seen that cannot be resolved in any way other than finding a balance between the two. Our observations, having worked in this, in Commonwealth countries for now 100 years and in cyberspace for over 10 years, one is that privacy and cybersecurity are usually considered separately. We help our member countries to develop cybersecurity strategies, and only in few of them the countries express a need for a data protection and privacy framework, but many of them want a cybersecurity strategy. The problem is that it seems to be more a security issue than a developmental issue. And the other problem is that the engagement of civil society is rather limited. There are civil society actors who are very active and who want to contribute, but the opportunities for them to contribute are limited. And when it comes to the global cyber policy making, it is even less. Because if one looks at IGF, Internet Governance Forum, it is actually a huge gathering of civil society people on in internet governance. But if you take that as a percentage of the global cyber population, it's a small fraction. And I doubt, now this is my personal view, I doubt whether it is a representative fraction. So for the future, what we see, this is not what we want to see, but what we fear might be the case. One is that there will be an increasing demand for a greater degree of privacy and control of own data. When I'm saying own data, there are two elements. One is the privacy element, the other one is the commercial value of that data. My browsing pattern has a commercial value, but I don't benefit from that commercial value. It is some company that does that. So there will be more and more demands for privacy plus to benefit from my own data. World Economic Forum recently came out with this statement that data is going to be the new petroleum. If WEF says that, we can reasonably rest assured that it will be very valuable. But are we benefiting from that data? Not at the moment. So there will be a greater demand for that. Second, there will be a continuous friction between security and liberty. When we develop cybersecurity strategies, we always try to build these multi-stakeholder partnerships, bring in the civil society actors, the privacy advocates, but it has been a constant struggle. You get a very good representation of ICT regulators, the policymakers, security law enforcement authorities, but not that much from the data protection community. And it seems to be taking precedence because of the need for development. And here I take the old management theory of the Maslow's hierarchy. One needs to have one's physiological needs addressed before one thinks about self-actualization. You have to have food, you have to have development, and then you can start thinking about liberty. This is not what we advocate, but this seems to be the general thinking. But on the other hand, there is a great opportunity for democracy to flourish within cyberspace because ICTs facilitate citizens' engagement in governance. All e-governance systems, today morning we heard from Geneva about e-voting. There is m-voting. I believe Baltic countries practice m-voting. So cyberspace facilitates people's engagement not only in voting process but continuously. I mean, in good old days, democracy is limited to going voting and after 4 years coming back and turning away the government. But cyberspace facilitates a continuous engagement by civil society in governance. But is it happening? I doubt it. And the last thing is, this is something which we find very, very concerning, the engagement of civil society in global cyber policy making. It is rather limited. Right now there is a great debate about the transition of IANA functions from the US government to yet to be formed multi-stakeholder partnership. But how multi-stakeholder that partnership is going to be, it's doubtful because the engagement by the civil society is limited. And this is primarily driven by the fact that most or large number of countries lack resources and the capacity to engage meaningfully in the global cyber policy making. Well, that is from me, and those are my contact details. I'm very happy to answer any questions. Thank you.